Today we're going to be talking about season 3, episode 5 of the Traitors US, and we just have to get right into it because this whole thing is imploding. So in the last episode, Boston Rob got Bob the drag queen voted out pretty spectacularly. Bob the drag queen literally just made one wrong move. He put some suspicion on Boston Rob and the other two new guys, and literally just like that, Rob said his name and Bob the drag queen was gone. Of course, Danielle and Carolyn were completely blindsided by that. He did not tell them that he was going to do that. So this episode starts and they're back in the turret and Boston Rob is basically just saying like, he put sus on me. He put all this sus on me. Like, I would never betray you guys unless you betray me first. First of all, who taught Boston Rob to use the word sus like that? I don't know who he learned that from, but that is not the way that people use that word. I mean, technically, I guess it makes sense. Like, it stands for suspicion. So, like, he put sus on me, he put suspicion on me. Like, yeah, sure. But I have literally never heard anybody in all of the years we've been saying sus use that word like that. And now to make matters worse, my boyfriend is adopting it. Now, my boyfriend started watching the Traitors UK and he will be texting me every single day being like, oh, this person has so much sus on them, like they're totally gonna leave. Oh my god, this traitor has all this sus on them, like they're done. I'm like, baby, that is not how you use the word sus. We're not gonna be using it like that. As usual, they're all over the place when they're trying to decide who to murder. Boston Rob wants to murder anyone who doesn't have any sus on them. So Danielle suggests like Gabby and Sam, Britney Spears' ex-boyfriend, but Boston Rob argues that they should murder another housewife. This back and forth between them is pretty intense. Carolyn is just so sick of the other two not listening to her, and I kind of agree. I feel like just watching, like, I'm frustrated for Carolyn. She genuinely has really good ideas. She's probably the smartest out of all three of them. I think Boston Rob would be the smartest if he wasn't so egotistical, but no one will listen to her. So at the end of it, they decide to murder Robin, which I just think is like, I think Robin is somebody who they could have very easily painted to be a traitor later on. I feel like that was a really interesting murder. Like, I don't think she's a threat. Anytime she's been suspicious of somebody being a traitor, she's been wrong. So to me, that doesn't really make any sense. The faithful the next morning, though, are so confused. This is so interesting. I was talking to my boyfriend about this. We watched this show together, and I was saying, like, man, the traitors are so dumb, but the faithful are dumber. And my boyfriend was like, honestly, if you don't know what you're doing, then nobody else knows what you're doing. And honestly, I think that makes sense. I think the traitors are just like flying off the cuff, like just making all of these decisions that have like no rhyme or reason to them. And because of that, the faithful are also just as confused. So I mean, it's a strategy, I guess. So the names being brought up by the faithful as potential traitors are Wes, Rob, and Nikki. It's so interesting that they had Sierra and Nikki pegged as potential traitors right after that whole coffin thing, because I don't remember who brings it up, but one of the faithful is like, you know, that's what the traitors want you to think. That they like the traitors want you to think that the other two people who they didn't murder could be traitors. And the faithful fell right into that trap. They become so suspicious of Nikki when really, I mean, at least in the edit, I haven't seen anything that makes her out to be suspicious. The mission this week is relatively simple, but something happens during it that is so crazy. My boyfriend and I were watching it and we were like, what? It was so insane. And like, I want to believe that these things aren't scripted, like the competition shows specifically, but this one thing seemed so dumb and out of character that I was like, this has to be scripted. There's no way this isn't manufactured drama. So the mission is super simple. It's basically just Alan Cumming gives the faithful riddles and then the faithful have to like find the right word. There are all these like urns that are over labels. And so it's like, oh, like what dances but is not a human? And the answer is fire. So they take the urn that's over fire, smash it on the floor. If it's gold ash, then they get it right. If it's gray ash, then they got it wrong. And the thing is, when you get a riddle right, there are 2 picture frames and a bunch of pictures of the traitors. You pick up a picture and you put it in the picture frame. Whoever's pictures are in the frame at the end of this challenge gets a shield. So 2 people get shields at the end of this mission. So So logically, whenever somebody gets a riddle right, they walk over to their picture and they put it in the picture frame because they want a shield, because they don't want to get murdered. Danielle, when she gets a riddle right, I think maybe she thinks that like the other faithful don't like her, or I forgot what she says, but she thinks that she needs to like get in with the women or just like all of the other faithfuls. She takes Dolores's picture and she puts Dolores's picture in the frame. And Dolores and Danielle, I don't really think are friends. We never see them interact. And Dolores sees this and she's like, oh, thanks? She is so confused. And when she did that, she took Derek's picture out of the frame, put Dolores's picture in, and I guess Derek made a comment. He was like, whoa, like, why did you do that? Because I guess Derek and Danielle, I think they know each other from Big Brother. So Danielle feels bad about this. She gets a second riddle right, and I'm thinking like, okay, this time, take your picture and put it in the frame. And Danielle goes to the board, takes Derek's picture and puts it back and is like, sorry, you know I got you. Like, you know you're my number one. You're my brother. Everybody is so suspicious of this. Everybody, even Dolores, who Danielle put her picture in the frame, even Dolores is like, aren't you afraid that you're gonna get murdered tonight? I feel like Danielle has this fantasy going on that she's such a good actress and she can say anything and anyone will believe her. She like really was going so hard with the fake crying in the beginning. I mean, she must have taken like a Meisner class before she joined the Traitors. She's like, I'm such a good actress, like I'm eating it up. And I'm like, girl, like, no, you're not. Everybody is suspicious of you. This isn't like giving what you think it's giving. You look weird. You look crazy. So then they get back to the castle and Danielle knows what she did. Danielle knows that she messed up. Carolyn goes up to her in the castle and Carolyn tries to confide in her. Remember, they're a team. Carolyn goes up to her and tries to confide in her and says like, hey, Boston Rob keeps coming up to me and saying like, oh, you know, I got you. And he's being really heavy-handed about it. Like, is he saying that to you too? Because honestly, I feel like we can't trust him. Carolyn is being a good traitor. She's trying to work with her other traitor. Danielle, meanwhile, goes in the confessional and says she wants to get Boston Rob out, but she doesn't trust Carolyn either. And so she thinks it'll be easier to get Boston Rob out if she gets Carolyn voted out first. What are you talking about? Carolyn literally came up to you and confided something in you. It would be so easy to work with her to get Boston Rob out if that's what you want to do. Danielle, honestly, I think she has this fantasy about winning the Traitors by herself. I don't think she has any interest in winning with any other traitor, and I think that is ultimately going to be her downfall. So before she votes Boston Rob out, she wants to get Carolyn voted out. And I guess her and Dylan, Zac Efron's brother, have like a friendship. So she goes to him and out of nowhere, there is no precedent for this. None of them have talked about this. She goes, I think one of the traitors is a female. I think one of them is a woman. And Dylan goes, okay, who? And she goes, Carolyn. I think it's Carolyn. And Dylan is not buying it. He's just like, what? Like he's so confused as to where this is coming from. And Danielle is just kind of saying like, watch your back. Like it definitely has to be Carolyn. Like, haven't you noticed she's kind of been like, you know, she did really well on Survivor. She's like a great Survivor player. And like, you know, she's been falling in the middle like this whole time. She's been trying to not be suspicious. Just like, it's like the kind of information that you would only know if you were also a traitor. It's a name that comes out of absolutely nowhere. And Dylan like makes note of it, but he's kind of just like, not now. Like there are other people that we want to think about first. Like he's not really thinking about it. What bothers me so much is that Gabby in the last episode literally heard Danielle's voice coming out of the wine cellar, and I wish she would have pushed it more because she kind of brought it up last episode. Robin immediately shuts it down. Robin's immediately like, no, that's not it. That's totally not it. Classic Robin. If you watch Potomac, like, I mean, here's the thing about Robin being on the Traitors is like, anybody who would marry Juan Dixon twice is not somebody that I'm gonna trust. You know what I mean? That's like not really somebody whose critical thinking skills I'm gonna value. And that's all I'm gonna say about Robin on the Traitors. So the roundtable starts, and there are 3 players whose names get brought up the whole time. It's Boston Rob, Nikki, and Sierra. The faithful are like really hell-bent on this theory that like either Sierra or Nikki have to be a traitor because they were in the coffin. They're like really not letting that go. I feel like the faithfuls this season are just like really headstrong. Like they kind of have tunnel vision. They have one theory, and then once they lock onto that theory, they are completely unwilling to consider anything else. And Ivar Mountbatten, the British royal, kind of goes in on Boston Rob a little. He doesn't push hard enough, but he's like, you know, you knew that Bob the drag queen was a traitor, and you were like pretty certain. What do you have to say about that? And Boston Rob is just able to kind of like talk himself out of it, just of course talking about like, oh, Bob the drag queen was so defensive, like he's the one who buried himself, and he's just able, the faithful are just lining up to kiss his ass. It's like crazy. And the whole round table goes by, and honestly, there is just no credible argument for Sierra or Nikki being a traitor. They're all really zeroing in more on Nikki, and then Chrishell comes in, and she's like, honestly, Nikki, like, I just feel like, she's like crying. She's like, I just feel like ever since Bob the drag queen voted out, like I've really noticed like a shift in your energy. I don't know how to explain it, but like I know you, and I just really feel like there's been a shift in your energy. And then Sierra makes a comment that really rubbed me the wrong way. She was just kind of trying to get the blame off of herself and pin it on Nikki, and she just kind of goes like, look at Nikki, like, Nikki, you're just always so, like, even-keeled and just so cool. Like, do you ever smile? I don't even know if I've ever seen you smile or, like, laugh with your chest, like, laugh wholeheartedly. And that really rubbed me the wrong way, because it's like, I get it, Sierra's afraid of being voted out. She's trying to just say anything she can to get the blame put back on Nikki. But like, this is why everybody needs feminism. And this is why like women can be perpetuators of misogyny too. Because what do you mean Nikki is suspicious because she doesn't smile? Like, this woman is a WWE champion. You really think she's gonna be like, oh, haha, like, hi, my name is... Like, that's not... She's a WWE champion. She could literally, like, pick up any person at that table and, like, body slam them. I really did not like that. And I don't think anybody really took that seriously, but I think when Chrishell said that she noticed a change in her energy, because, you know, Nikki, Chrishell, and Gabby are, like, the Bambis. I think Chrishell saying that really, like, swayed everybody's vote. So almost everybody votes for Nikki. It's like near unanimous. It's worth noting that Dylan randomly wrote Gabby's name down because he was like, honestly, I don't think it's Sierra or Nikki. I'm just going to throw away my vote. I don't think it's either of them. Nikki gets voted out. It's a near unanimous vote, and her speech is so good. She goes, the win for me is I get to go home to my son. The loss for all of you is that I'm a faithful. Chrishell is like immediately crying. She feels so bad. And honestly, like, if it were me, I would feel bad too. I think she should feel bad. She basically just talked about Nikki being a traitor with like literally zero evidence, just being like, I don't know, your energy seems weird, like you seem different. I would be mad at her. If I was Nikki, I would be mad. And then Tom Sandoval, when the round table is over, they all get up, they're walking away. Tom Sandoval goes up to her. He goes, hey, Chrishell, like, I know you don't like me, but I just wanted to let you know, I thought that was really cool what you did. I thought that was really brave. Somebody on Reddit said that Tom Sandoval is playing the traitors like he's trying to figure out whether or not he is a traitor. And that is like it. I need somebody to make a master edit of all of the times that Tom has been weird in these episodes of The Traitors that have aired so far, because he is so weird. I think that the rest of these episodes, the rest of the season is just gonna be an all-out traitor civil war, because this whole thing is a mess. Dylan, after the round table, this is how the episode ends. He goes up to Carolyn, tells her that Danielle brought her name up. Carolyn is shocked. She is pissed. And I just think like all of them are out to get each other. Boston Rob definitely does not care about either Danielle or Carolyn. Danielle is out to get both of them. And poor Carolyn, since the beginning, has not had a team. Nobody wants to be on her team for seemingly no reason. I don't understand the reason, because like she was a little kooky in the beginning. I kind of didn't like her in the first episode, but getting to know all of the traitors more, I'm like, she is honestly the most level-headed one who has the best strategy, and they just have not been interested in working with her from the beginning. And then also, Boston Rob thinks that he's good, but Wes and Derek are both onto him. I think Boston Rob's only saving grace is that Dylan is like his best friend. Dylan trusts him so much. I think if anything were to happen, like if Wes and Derek, let's say, try to pin it on Boston Rob next episode, I think Rob is gonna try to sacrifice Dylan next at the round table. I think he's gonna try to convince everyone that Dylan is a traitor. I just hope, like, I don't know what is gonna do this, but I just want somebody from the faithfuls to wake up and stop kissing Boston Rob's ass. I don't know why they're all doing it. It's like anything he says goes. Nobody questions him. Anytime anybody even talks to him, they're like, I know you're such a good game player. Oh my, you're so good. Like, I know you're a legend. I know. It's like, stand up. Like, this is not your god. This is just some guy from Boston. What are you guys doing? So I do not think Boston Rob is safe. If I had to guess who's gonna get voted out next, I honestly think they're gonna get a traitor next episode. I think it could be anyone. I think it could be Boston Rob. I think it could be Carolyn, maybe, if Dylan starts floating that theory around. But I hope, just because honestly, I don't want to see her on this show anymore. I really hope that like Dolores and Derek bring up Danielle's suspicious behavior in the mission where Danielle like blatantly did not care about getting a shield. I want them to talk about that more. I was kind of surprised they didn't bring that up at this roundtable. I do think it's going to come up next episode. I just really think that one of the three of them, Boston Rob, Danielle, or Carolyn, is out next episode. That's it for my recap of Traitors US Season 3, Episode 5. Let me know who you think is gonna get voted out next. Like, do you think it's a traitor, or do you think the faithful are just gonna keep spinning around in circles? Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.